You not only highlight how little in the grand scheme of things money is going to defence tech for all the amount that we talk about it, but you also try and outline ways in which it could be adopted faster. First and foremost, why do we get so much excitement about defence tech? Why is the VC community pouring in money when the end client isn't putting money in as much?
Well, it's a great question, and I think you got to look at, not just the end client, but the threat environment, the world that you were just speaking about, in which that client is operating. And simply put, it's a dangerous world. It's getting more complex and complicated as we see tension on the rise, as we see conflicts erupting in different corners of the world. And that means that protecting American national security is good business and it's important business. And so we're seeing those private dollars flow, that private capital from the venture capital community. But those investors are going to need to see the public dollars line up in terms of Pentagon spending if it's going to continue and if they're going to continue to take that risk.
I mean, the reporting that Ed and team and Woolman continue doing, Anduril now looking at a overall market cap of $61 billion, raising another $4 billion, and yet we're just talking that less than that is how much has been directed towards defence tech from the Pentagon. What are your policy prescriptives to get the government even more comfortable with aligning that money?
There's a lot of work that we've done at the Reagan Institute with regard to this national security innovation-based kind of thinking about how public investments, but public policy can help tackle this problem that we're seeing the private sector stand up to solve. Right now, they're operating at two different speeds, where the private sector's in the lead. We're really seeing innovation, we're seeing progress, and the government is struggling to keep up. It's improving. You mentioned at the top, defense tech spending has doubled. That's great. And yet it's still less than 1%. And so I think continuing to improve the demand signal that government, and that's not just the Pentagon, that's also Congress, political leaders at the White House level and beyond are sending to private sector partners the clarity with which they're communicating their policy priorities, their technology priorities, and then the spending to back up those acquisition pathways.
I want to define what that spending is. What we've looked at on the show historically, Rachel, is unclassified or declassified missile spending. Mm-hmm. And to hammer home the point, largely it goes to Lockheed Martin and others of that legacy prime ilk. The question, I suppose, at this juncture is, does what's happened with the war in Iran change that? We've done a lot of covering the use of drones, lower cost, autonomous technology. The question for your report is the trajectory different now?
It's becoming different. It is changing. I think like what we're seeing with the conflict in Iran and Operation Epic Fury is really driving home the point that defense tech matters, that these low-cost systems are going to be an important part of ensuring America's national security. But the fact remains that most of the platforms, the weapon systems and platforms that we've used in Operation Epic Fury are from the Reagan administration or before, 40, wow. 60, 80-year-old systems. And those are important platforms, right? Aircraft carriers moving into the region are an important part of projecting American strength. But the fact that only one weapon system, the Lucas drone, is being used in Operation Epic Fury that's been developed in the last 15 years, only one system in this operation that's less than 15 years old, really shows how we need to keep up to meet those challenges that you're speaking to.
The word procurement comes up quite a lot when you're at somewhere like Hill and Valley Forum, and there's a bit of an exasperation from industry about how that works. PowerPoint presentations is something that they stress over. Is this administration better than prior administrations, and this Pentagon better than prior iterations of it at dealing with more nimble, smaller technology companies?
Well, politics aside, at the Reagan Institute, we've developed a report card to look at exactly this, and we've seen improvements in some grades that matter in this defense innovation ecosystem over time, and we've seen some grades moving in the other direction. But the biggest year-on-year jump that we've ever seen, biggest improvement in grade, is something we call customer clarity, that demand signal that the government's signaling to private sector partners. And we see that not just through spending and acquisition pathways, but some of the reforms that this administration has pursued, the acquisition transformation strategy, streamlining technology priorities. They've said a fewer number of technologies are important, and then sent that signal to private sector partners in terms of what the administration wants to focus on. And from what we hear from those private sector partners, that's helping them align to national security priorities.
I want to talk about talent for a minute, because Chris Power-Hadrian joined us yesterday from the Hill and Valley Forum, and his point was talent talent is a real issue. And that's why, in many ways, they've got this novel way of training people up, because there's a huge retirement block that's about
You said the
to come.
average age of work in that industry was 65.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And not everyone works until the president's age.
It's a generational thing in the school. Sorry, Carrie.
No, but what's so great about your national security, basically an innovation-based report card, is it reads like a school report. And you're saying talent base, D+ in America. What do we need more? Look, I said as a British person who, luckily enough, works in America.
Also a British person working in America, but
do we need more immigration? What is it that's needed to boost the D+?
It's all of the above. We need to attract foreign-born talent here to the United States to work on some of our hardest problems, with appropriate controls, of course, in place for national security. But we also have to be channeling our domestic talent toward STEM careers, toward not just high skill, but also skilled trades. Companies like Hadrian are doing some very interesting and innovative things in that regard. And also thinking about how technology itself, AI and beyond, can make our workforce more productive, even in smaller numbers. That it's not just about maintaining the workforce of the past, but preparing for the workforce of the future. And our low grade, I think, in the talent and workforce domain shows that there's a lot to be done, both with private sector and public sector collaboration here to really get at that challenge.